Welcome back to The Watch, and I'm here with Claudia, and we want to talk about My Hero Academia. Why did you want to talk about this, Claudia?
I like anime.
How much?
A lot.
A lot?
I have even the manga.
Okay. Confession time then. I have a large exposure to anime. I used to be really into it.
Mm-hmm.
Too much, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, more evened out, where I used to, if it was just anime, I'd be like, it's anime! But no, there's lots of bad anime, lots of good anime.
Yes.
My exposure was, of course, back when I was 14, Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I even have the manga. Where's number one? I must have taken out number one. Oh, I have number one inside, but anyway. Look at it. So I got my own mangas here as well. There's some great anime.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in a lot of Western-produced media, it's been getting really crap. I love superheroes. Yeah, like one of my favourites, Invincible. Got it right here. And I want to talk, because there's some comments about adaptation I want to talk about with Invincible. Yes. And, I've shared my comic books before. Got Spider-Man here. I want to talk a bit about Spider-Man as well in relation to My Hero Academia. But I have nothing recent that Marvel has put out, because it's all been absolute crap.
I don't read Marvel comic books.
Because it's all crap.
I'm more of a manga kind of person, or indie comics.
Yeah?
I like going to the comic shop and picking up things that look pretty.
That's actually what attracted me to comics in the early days, because I wanted to draw and just beautiful art. Just like I had to get the comic book because the art was great. The art has fallen off like a cliff with Marvel these days. Not to say there isn't some decent art now and then, but some of the art they've put out is awful. And so where are we to go who love the superhero genre and not getting superheroes? And this is where anime is actually coming in and bringing up the slack. And this is where My Hero Academia comes in. We're going to do a bit of a discussion review. I'm up to like season 4 or 5 now in My Hero Academia.
I have not seen the most recent season that's come out, because I was watching it on Anime Lab, and I stopped paying for my subscription because I was a poor student at the time. But yes, I've watched most of it.
So I needed the last episode I just watched was Bakugo and the guy with the scar on his thing. They need to get their license to be able to, and they were trying to teach the kids.
Was that
so there was
their
a little
license?
So they failed a test to be able to be sidekicks or provisionally.
Is this after the big test with all of the other schools as well?
Yes. Yeah, so the other schools have been introduced.
Yep.
And then to try and be allowed to get work experience,
and only a certain
essentially.
amount of people get it.
Yeah. They had to teach some younger kids things, see how they deal with it. That's one of the very last episodes.
Babysitting episode.
Yeah. Thing is, though, it's consistently good, or consistently enjoyable. Surprisingly so.
I love all of it.
And the thing that gets me, right, is that, so yes, I highly recommend My Hero Academia. It is brilliant. One of the things that's so great about it, it actually understands the most enjoyable aspects for me from the superhero genre, and it's the heroism aspect, the aspirational ideals to use your abilities to help others and save others. And not only does it get that, it doubles down and has really important arcs about
Well, it talks about, the pain and sacrifice, but also the joy in being a hero.
It's uplifting. It's brilliant. It understands and celebrates some of the great superhero ideals that Marvel and DC have now they want to use superheroes and the properties they have as a platform for agendas and messages. Like, there was actually a scene recently in Batman where there were Antifa rioters in Batman, and Batman would not stop these rioters because if
they're going to dangle a carrot in front of them, who am I to stop them? Even though he's one of the carrot makers.
It's astoundingly bad. This is Batman seeing crime. Batman's war on crime. His old thing about stopping crime, seeing crime actively take place.
Watching them
loot and
small businesses.
Can you see why the fan base is abandoning Marvel and DC with this type of crap? And I'm one of them, and if I can get my superhero fix, I don't care where from, if it's good superheroes.
And you know what? This is like, you want superhero fix? This is this is that tenfold. It's got, like, they're all superheroes, and it's all different aspects of being a superhero. There's the money-making aspect of being a superhero. There's the sacrifice and joy of being a superhero just for the sake of being a superhero. There's I've got this ability, so why not just use it? It covers so many different aspects of it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's actually far more creative to a wacky extent with the types of superpowers people have. Look, my own personal preference, I like the superheroes, their powers, to be a bit more grounded, not so wacky, but I understand this is kind of its stylistic thing, and I can get on board.
Anime and manga tend to lean into the more campy side of these sorts of things.
The thing is, I really like the creativity in some areas, and that there are certain limitations with the powers. Let's mention gravity, right? Here's a good example of kind of working on a traditional power, but they're willing to give them more limitations, which actually makes them have to struggle more, which gets you more engaged. Instead of just being able to levitate things, Gravity can only make things weightless by touching it. She has to actually touch them. There's a great limitation which recontextualize how the power can operate. And this is actually an example of, they don't always do it, but a really good example of how they often give limitations or different kind of quirks or applications of how our powers work. There's an evil villain who can morph into other people, but she has to taste their blood first to be able to do it. Really interesting limitation.
And there's also, for Gravity, she gets sick after she uses it too much. So they have physical, they also have those physical limitations with themselves that cause them to, want to get stronger. And the laser belly button dude, he gets a sore tummy.
So it's like, I actually, even though some get too campy, I do really like that they're being more creative and they're actually trying to ground some of these powers to not make it so easy that sometimes they have more costs or limitations in their general function, which is good. This is great stuff, but this is just more window dressing, because even if they didn't do that, the core of what they have here is brilliant, and that's how they handle the themes, the superhero themes, the arc of, the main character, Midoriya.
Yep.
And
Deku.
Yes, and his idolization of All Might. All Might is brilliantly done.
Yep.
So some of the things that I really like about All Might is he represents kind of more classic superheroes. He's the Superman archetype. But even with him, they gave him some severe limitations. He doesn't have crazy powers like Superman, where laser things and he can fly and stuff.
Yep.
It's basically can enhance his physical capacity with a type of energy to a crazy level. And they really, it's funny. Superman is a beacon of hope and peace, but he never comes out and says it and everything. Only briefly. He does say, I want to be a beacon of hope now and then. Yeah. But All Might is all about that. The symbol of peace.
Yep. Smile. Always smiling. Always tell everyone it's okay.
Yep. His introduction in any situation is never fear, for I am here and stuff. And so they even went further with that theme, which works brilliantly, because All Might is set up as this aspirational hero figure, which makes sense for Midoriya to
hero
idolize.
Number one.
Number one hero in the world. And Midoriya's arc is brilliant. One of the things that I really liked about Midoriya, and this is to me is such an important theme with a superhero and everything. You can subvert it sometimes, but if you really want to get a great superhero theme, they just nailed it with Midoriya. And it's that he was willing to do good and fight for good before he had powers. He was trying to do the right thing, and
not only willing, but had this
he earned his powers, and
it wasn't just willing. It was like he couldn't do anything else. If he saw someone in trouble, he had to step in. It was this physical. I don't know how to describe it. He stepped forward.
Yeah, he couldn't help.
He couldn't stand by.
He couldn't stand by and watch someone potentially get murdered, and he forgets about his own safety, and he just has to go.
And that's in the first episode.
It's just brilliant, right? And there are great stories of superheroes, like Spider-Man is one of them, where powers are thrust upon them before they're ready, and they need to grow up and learn to deal with them.
Yep.
Midoriya's story is a story about someone who has to actively work to earn the powers. We don't want to give too many spoilers, right? But this is early on stuff in the story, so this is like happening.
This is first episode.
Exactly, happening right at the beginning, where through his own actions and self-sacrifice and stuff, he is noticed by someone. And they offer him the opportunity because he has no powers. He isn't born with any powers in this world where everyone almost is born with powers.
And that's part of his arc as well. That he wants to be a hero. He wants nothing more than to be a hero like All Might, and then finds out, sorry kid, you've got this one thing that you don't have. This one thing that everyone else has. And
yet that didn't stop him from acting like his idol, like All Might, like being heroic because he wanted it. And so this is brilliant stuff. And so then he has to earn them, and he works really hard. The first episode, he has to go through hell almost to be worthy enough, and just so his body could survive the process, to earn these powers. Brilliant stuff. Just absolutely great. So it gets the superhero themes right, which would be essential for a superhero story. And it would be hard to give more praise than that, right? It's not to say there aren't the occasional silly things and stuff. The next thing
it is an anime.
It is an anime. There's a lot of silly stuff. But the next thing
anime
is what makes... what really just sells this. It is just a whole heck of a lot of fun. The action is just brilliant. They go crazy with the emotional intensity. And it's just what anime can do really well. And they do it in manga as well, in terms of... They sell it in the art style even better, but how they convey emotion, like, look at this. Look at this punch scene right here.
It's great.
It's absolutely brilliant, but do you see the amount of force that is conveyed in that scene right there?
And what I've noticed it with manga is a lot is that they don't worry about breaking their own style to convey emotion or action. I've noticed with a lot of Western comics, they want to stick to their style, but this is they like to break the rules in manga.
Yeah, and manga, like, sometimes they will redraw the face in a far more cartoonish way to convey emotion or comedy. And I think it's really effective in conveying certain feelings and stuff. It's a different style. Is one better than the other?
Yeah, I mean, look at this.
Yeah, like, look at the physicality, the speed, the motion that's conveyed in that is brilliant. And a lot of that is conveyed in the anime as well. That when some of the epic moments happen in the fights, where there's a big build up to pulling out even more of the power and this huge...
And the anime actually sticks to the style really well.
That's
another thing anime adaptations to mangas do really well with, is just sticking to the style.
Yeah. And so, because it can just build up these moments and then have such impact through the animation and the build up of the power and stuff, my kids get so into this, and there was a moment when my 2-year-old son, he just gets down and is like, and he punches with him because he's so into it, and it's conveying that level of action.
Yeah.
And so even if there was a lot of stupidity in the plot, and there isn't a lot, there's some, there's actually a good amount of consistency with a lot of things that happen.
Yeah.
But even if it wasn't there, if this was just fun action and good superhero themes, brilliant show.
Well, they've even got deep emotions in there as well. I cried in the first episode.
They have...
Poor Midoriya.
One of my favourite arcs in this is Bakugo. The complex emotional structure, he isn't just an angry guy. They actually give validity to try and justify it, a lot of insecurity that is trying to hide, and it builds up to an ultimate confrontation between Bakugo and, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But that episode was just awesome. Really, really good. And it showed more depth to his character and why he's so obsessed with being strong and everything.
Yeah.
So there is complexity in this. And it has... And
they do that for,
a lot of characters.
Almost all of the characters that you get to know more about.
You find out about Aravity and why she's doing it. And you were right when they say they show different perspectives of why people are doing this.
Yeah.
This is a really well-crafted superhero world where it tries to figure out what would a world really be like if it had lots of superheroes, and so there's a lot more organization. It's involved in more aspects of their society.
Systems in place, kind of like YouTubers. They need sponsors to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, they become celebrities.
We've just got this up on the back, little ad for promoting a hair thing.
Yep.
Shampoo for beautiful, shiny hair.
It's great. It's great. So it does that really well. The biggest tribute, right, is that because it does the superhero themes really well and the action is just over the top great and everything, it is actually achieves one of the purposes I feel should be for most superheroes. I know you can have shows that are subversive and, you know, the anti-heroes and all that stuff, but one of the great things about the superhero genre is something that is ennobling, that it inspires people to want to be more, to be heroic in their own lives, where they're, and this is the reality, in anyone's life, there are times when you need to try and stand up and show bravery and stuff, and it's stories like this that hopefully will inspire everyone to be able to be stronger.
Yeah.
And this is having an effect on my kids already. There's a great moment in an episode, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there is a character who is trying to fight a bad guy, and the bad guys do something to make him lose his powers. And then he keeps on fighting, and the bad guy's wondering, how is he able to keep fighting? He's lost his powers. And my daughter is the one who said, it's because he's a hero. That's awesome. That's the stuff that I want to be imprinted on my kids. This is where you want to pick good stuff that is uplifting for your kids to watch. And My Hero Academia is that. It's a small little thing that I want to mention. But you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say not only that, but even All Might mentions, you know, there's also nobility and honor in being, you know, police officers and people who help clean up the streets and regular service people, you know. There's, you know, there's so many different ways you can be a hero.
Absolutely.
Not just through strength and big muscles and powers.
And I mean, kids understand the difference a lot, you know, mostly between fiction and reality, and that they probably never get superpowers themselves, but probably, but
never say never.
That's my belief. Never say never. There's always a chance. I want to have superheroes growing up. I even have Santa Claus. Anyway, that's a separate story. Thing is, though, the desire to be that, and even you teach things through exaggerated examples, okay? And so you might not be able to save people's lives jumping through buildings, but you can do things to help people in their lives by just trying to do good. And that's the message that I feel
even just a smile.
Exactly. And you can get that from All Might as well. Small things, all of that there. There's one interesting aspect to this that I both respect, and it can lead to a larger conversation. We might end off on this, but overall, our just general opinion of My Hero Academia at the moment is I highly recommend it. It's brilliant. Give it a go if you haven't. If you are wanting, what is the thing currently being made, which is the most superhero property out of all superhero properties, I would say it's My Hero Academia. And
it's ongoing.
And so they're still making it. It's still going out. There's so much to enjoy already.
You can read the book or watch the show.
It's all there. So the other thing that I want to mention is that My Hero Academia can be enjoyed by boys and girls, obviously, as evident, but it also knows who the main audience is, I think, pretty clearly. They are unashamed in showing...
it is a shonen.
It's a shonen, showing the girls to be attractive, okay? And interesting, there is a character who is actually presented to being a pervert. There's the guy with the balls in his hair, okay?
the purple hair kid.
And so, one thing...
who gets in trouble for it?
He gets... that's the next part I was going to go to, is that... They're actually showing that his behaviour is unacceptable by the reaction out of the characters and constantly gets beaten down by him trying to perv on everyone.
Yeah.
And so it's played off as a joke, but it's also being portrayed as something negative and unacceptable.
Well, they do also have Uravity, who is a little uncomfortable in her costume at first, because she said, I didn't ask for it to be this tight. Why is it so tight? So it's got both sides.
But they also don't shy away from sexifying some of the characters.
There's the giant girl who objectifies herself because it makes money.
Yeah.
That's on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So with everything,
she gets more fans.
Yeah, with everything that's happening in the society today, I'm not sure if a certain video will be out or not in regards to things. I kind of like that a property, a series, a genre, whatever, is catering towards young boys in a way that, look, I think it's good that young boys are attracted to girls. That shouldn't be exploitative, shouldn't go too far. But it's not showing away saying, hey, this is for young boys. we're going to show them action, and you like girls, well, we won't go too far, but we'll also have some pretty girls in there for you as well. And if that...
And there's some pretty boys.
There are some pretty boys as well, actually. Because that's the thing, that always annoys me. It goes into that conversation about women being overly sexualized and stuff like that. And I understand, usually, it's more often girls that are overly sexualized. Yeah. But male characters get sexualized a lot. Quite a lot. Mm-hmm. Look at Conan the Barbarian is the way he is for a reason. Same with, you know...
Well, the thing is, I think not so much now, because it's kind of going opposite now, but back then there was that element of the women didn't have a choice and the men chose to. The men had the choice between objectifying themselves, but the women didn't.
So when you're saying that, like what period are you thinking of?
If we look at...
so we've got an image here, maybe we'll have to bring it up.
Yeah, if we've got superheroes, they're all wearing tight costumes, but we've got more skin showing on the females, but, you know, it's not the dudes being sexualized, it's showing the ideal for dudes. But for women, it's not women's ideal, it's men's ideal for women.
To me, I in terms of being a thing that to aspire to, I don't think any woman would complain having a figure like that. So that's, I don't know.
Well, it comes with back problems.
Okay. So one interesting thing, like Wonder Woman is the interesting thing, because there's actually a different standard in what skin, I guess, is more accepted to be shown between men and women.
True.
For men, it is mostly accepted for men to go topless, okay? And there are superheroes who don't wear tops. They're just like, you know, you can... Hulk is one, Martian Manhunter is another. Martian Manhunter basically only wears spandex in most of the time. There's a lot of superheroes who male superheroes who do not wear much at all. But I've never heard any complaint at all about that being objectifying for men and stuff like that. There's usually only complaint about the women that are exposing a bit more skin, and the standards are different. And so usually if you have exposed skin on a man, it's going to be his chest. If you have exposed skin on a woman, it'll only be the upper chest, maybe shoulders, but legs. They will expose the legs more often for women, and men will have the legs covered, but their whole chest will be... And that's
well, like I said, it's kind of different now, but we're seeing a bit of, you know, classic action heroes... Maybe 30 or 20 years ago, they weren't expected to be buff in movies. You know, example, James Bond. He wasn't, he never had a six-pack or
have a look at Sean Connery,
muscles.
James Bond. He was pretty, he was an averagely fit guy.
Yeah, but you've got other James Bonds, like,
Craig.
Is
he the most recent James Bond?
Who's the one who's in Mamma Mia?
He's ripped.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's the most recent one, and he's ripped.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Before that, you've got Kurt Russell.
But you had a mix. These days, it's not as...
But I think Claudia's trying to say there's actually even a high expectation for male superheroes to be mega ripped than they were before.
Even Natalie Portman had to buff up.
No, those are fake arms.
No.
They are.
She said she had to get fit.
She worked out, but she's skinny. She's a rake. Like, not only is she wearing rubber arms in some, there's other things showing tracking dots to digital arms on it.
Paul Rudd, is that his name? Paul Rudd?
Ant-Man? Yeah.
He was saying how he had to get ripped for it, but he just couldn't, because just some people just can't get ripped like Chris Hemsworth.
Well, and so...
So he had to have padding.
It's harder for women to put on bulk for them than men. Men can put on bulk a lot easier than women. There's a whole lot of, genetic reasons as to why. But men can bulk up easier.
Yeah.
And you raise an interesting point about that, because it's almost flipped in reverse, where... Men are not allowed to appreciate sexified women because that's sexist, yet they will go out of their way to objectify the males. If you want a clear example, look at the recent Thor trailer where Thor gets stripped and the girls are like...
You flipped too hard!
Yeah, and the girls are like, should we do something? No, we're just going to enjoy the view. Look, if you're going to do that, it needs to be fair on both sides.
Yeah.
Equal treatment.
I think the reason for that is because... there was so much push against women being objectified that it's gone backwards.
Yes, yeah.
Zeus flicked too hard, and now the girls are going to go flick too hard.
I don't get
Thank you for that contribution. You don't get it?
The girls flick too hard. No, I don't. I'm a sweet summer child.
Live in innocence.
Why can't I be innocent?
No. Also, my head might just not be working today. So, going back to My Hero Academia, this is one that like, this is what I kind of like about it. They don't give a crap about, in most instances, they don't give a crap about Western sensibilities. They get it like, hey, we're going to make the men buff, heroic, amazing, and we're going to make the women amazing and sexy. And because we know who our audience is, we want to let them enjoy the process of reading our story.
You say that, but there is a bit of that in Eastern culture. They're kind of the opposite. They say here the author was presenting his design, and he says, I thought he was really cool when I first drew him. This is All Might. But at the meeting with the editorial department, they said, who'd look up to this old guy? I don't want to be like him, and wouldn't he be better as a pretty boy? My manga buddy said, who's this weird, cheerful old dude?
Isn't that interesting? So they thought All Might should be the stereotypical anime pretty boy than the buffed, roided out superhero. Well, not really, but
I think Eastern cultures idolize feminine features more than masculine features.
Well, I'm glad he didn't care.
Just look at all those K-pop idols; they're pretty boys.
They are most definitely pretty boys, and I push back.
And there's still some masculine-looking
men
ones, but
embrace the masculinity. But
if you're pretty, it's okay too.
It's okay too.
Some guys don't have a choice. I feel for you.
So so going off of they don't care. They're just going to do what.
Well, we've also got so many different body types. We've got purple kid, purple haired kid. We've got Midoriya. We've got All Might. We've got the pretty ladies.
Yeah, we got the buffed out guys. We got there are pretty boys like the lazy kid.
Suit. It's a superhero. I'm pretty sure that's a lady.
They had a female voice exactly, and they have modest superhero. The whole thing. And so
we've got a superhero that's just a big ball.
Yeah, so. It represents everything. I don't know why you can complain.
You want representation?
But they might say, because they go out of their way to sexify, and I think sometimes they do go a little bit far for a younger audience. There are times where I'll skip forward. It's anime. But at the same moment, as I mentioned, I can kind of respect that they just don't give a crap, and they're gonna say, hey, this is what boys enjoy. Here are some pretty ladies. And here are some awesome-looking dudes. And girls can enjoy it just as much. My daughter is loving this show.
See what you just said? What? Pretty ladies and awesome-looking dudes. That's the point I was making before.
Yeah, but see, I don't find awesome-looking dudes pretty, so I wouldn't call them pretty. But from a girl's perspective, Thor is hot. But for me, Thor is awesome.
True.
Okay? So... That's part of what the superhero genre is meant to be, an aspirational thing for people to aspire to, not just in action, but also physicality.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having pretty people on the screen.
I think it's a positive
We
thing.
like looking at pretty people.
Exactly.
Beautiful people.
It's attractive. You want to see your pretty people doing awesome things than ugly people, because it's not as appealing. It's just the reality of stuff. And it should.
Although, I do like British TV.
You're saying all British people are... My goodness. Wow!
That's for yours.
Oz himself is very proud.
No, I'm just saying British TV is not afraid to put on not... Okay, here's an example.
It's a minefield, she's walking it.
IT crowd. They know... IT crowd, America made an IT crowd, and they made all of them attractive.
I see what you're saying. Sometimes a show does call for the people to appear as normal as possible. Mm-hmm. It also is in a matter of presentation, because the main cast of the IT crowd, they purposely made them dress like normal people, but they could be jazzed up and look amazing as well.
Yeah. But the thing is, when America tried to make it, they cast attractive people who dress well.
Or people who are more model looking, let's say.
Yes, model looking. Chris O'Dowd, he's a funny guy, isn't he?
Because I'm not saying the people in the regular IT crowd aren't attractive. You know, everyone has their preferences, and for the right person, people can be knockouts, right?
Yep.
But for an aspirational kind of media like superheroes and everything like that, you want something, again, to be aspirational, to look up to. Yeah. The fact that all the superheroes were ripped as anything and cut, and I wanted to be a superhero young, that encouraged me to work out and be fitter and everything, because I wanted to achieve that ideal. Did I? No. But was I more fit as a result? Yes, legitimately. Things that drove me to exercise more was
being healthy is good.
Yeah, being healthy is good. And the thing is, I'd love to be a superhero. I'd like to look like a superhero. Having that image in my head encouraged me to work towards it more so than if it wasn't.
I suppose if I had the option to look like Wonder Woman, I'd say yes, please.
I would love to look like Chris Hemsworth. Do I? No.
Honestly, I'd probably say yes to that too.
Exactly. No one would complain, right? And just having that there encourages Oz to... what, Oz? What?
You go.
Typical.
Typical.
So typical.
Oh,
I'm saying I would be happy to look like Chris Hemsworth. That's what I'm saying.
I would not be okay to look like Wonder Woman. Too much back problems. Anyway,
Bony.
it depends which Wonder Woman.
Gal Gadot is a beautiful lady.
She's too bony.
I don't think so.
Anyway,
Miss, what was she?
she was like Miss Israel? Yeah.
Miss Israel?
Look, yeah, as I was saying, even though I might not ever reach that ideal, having the ideal has encouraged me to even the trying has ended up me being fitter and healthier than I would be otherwise.
I will
That's
never
great.
be him.
So let's keep superheroes looking aspirational. My Hero Academia exemplifies that, but also shows other superheroes as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Got it all. But now, regular, like Western superheroes, they're going out of their way to, oh no, female superheroes, they can't be sexy. But the men, we can objectify them, they're fine. Let's strip Thor in front of everyone. And it's only more happened recently, because, look, I get it. When Black Widow was introduced, yeah, they were happy to, show her figure and stuff. But now...
Scarlett Johansson is also a beautiful lady.
Well, now she's saying it was a bit exploitative. It's like, oh, but you're okay with them exploiting Thor now? Anyway. So that's where media is. Superhero genre is going down. But if you want something that exemplifies all the greats, My Hero Academia, we recommend. Very, very good. Do you want to sign us off?
Read My Hero Academia. Stay watchful.
Awesome.